Let's go Ravens! The atmosphere around the Baltimore Ravens is already heating up as NFL free agency officially gets underway, and the first big movement involving the team has already surprised a lot of fans. When people started talking about potential departures, many believed the first names to watch would be Isaiah Likely or Tyler Linderbaum. Those were the names circulating in conversations among fans and analysts. But the reality turned out to be very different, and the first notable player connected to the Ravens to land a new deal elsewhere was actually one of the most underrated contributors the team had last season. Defensive lineman Draymond Jones. Before we continue, make sure you've already clicked the like button if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan of more than 20 years. It's always amazing to see fans from every generation supporting this team. And if you can, drop a comment saying, "Go Ravens! My heart beats purple and black." Now let's get straight into what's happening. Draymond Jones was not in Baltimore for a long time, but during the period he spent with the Ravens he proved to be exactly the type of player every contender needs. He wasn't the loudest name on the roster, and he wasn't constantly dominating headlines. But if you followed the games closely, you could see the impact he had on the field. Jones was the type of player who simply showed up, did his job, produced when needed, and then quietly moved on to the next challenge. And now the news is official. The New England Patriots have signed Draymond Jones to a 3-year contract worth $39 million, which averages about $13 million per year. For many Ravens fans, this move brings mixed emotions. On one hand, there were supporters who hoped Baltimore might find a way to bring him back because he proved to be a solid and reliable role player for the defense. On the other hand, it's impossible not to feel happy for a player who just secured a significant contract and a new opportunity. And when you really look at the situation, it makes sense why this deal happened. Jones has built a reputation around the league as a quiet producer. He's not someone constantly talking in the media or creating noise off the field. Instead, he lets his performance speak. That type of mentality is something coaches value a lot, especially when building a defensive rotation. When you have players who consistently execute their responsibilities without drama, those players become extremely valuable pieces. But there's another layer to this story that Ravens fans should pay attention to. During his time in Baltimore, Jones played within a defensive scheme that, according to many observations around the league, did not always highlight the strengths of certain defensive players. Some defenders within that system struggled to fully showcase their abilities, and in some cases their production even trended downward compared to previous seasons. That context matters, because now Draymond Jones is heading to New England, and that could change everything for him. The New England Patriots have historically built strong defensive identities, and if Jones lands in a system that better utilizes his skills, there's a real chance we could see him shine even more than he did during his short stretch in Baltimore. Sometimes a change in scheme can completely unlock a player's potential, and many around the league believe that possibility exists here. For the Ravens, this is likely just the beginning of what could be a very active free agency period. The first day of free agency is always unpredictable. Moves happen quickly, deals appear out of nowhere, and teams are constantly adjusting their plans in real time. Baltimore fans know how chaotic these opening hours can be. So the departure of Draymond Jones may only be the first of several updates involving players connected to the Ravens, whether that means players leaving, new faces arriving, or the front office making strategic moves to strengthen the roster for the next season. The big question now is how Baltimore responds. Will the Ravens look to replace the production Jones provided on the defensive line? Will they pursue another veteran player to fill that role? Or do they already believe someone inside the roster can step up and take over that responsibility? Free agency is just beginning, and the decisions made in the coming days could shape the direction of this team heading into the next season. Continuing the discussion, because this situation actually opens up a much bigger conversation about the direction the Baltimore Ravens are taking as this free agency period begins. When a player like Draymond Jones leaves, even if he was with the team for a limited period, it forces the organization to evaluate depth, rotation, and the long-term structure of the defensive line. And this is where things start getting really interesting. As we mentioned earlier, Jones was the type of player who quietly produced without drawing constant attention. That kind of reliability is extremely valuable during a long NFL season. Defensive lines rely heavily on rotation, stamina, and consistent effort on every snap, and Jones provided exactly that during his time in Baltimore. Even though he wasn't the headline name on the defense, he contributed in a way that helped stabilize the unit when it mattered. But the reality of the NFL is simple. When free agency opens, opportunities appear fast. Teams that have cap space and specific needs move aggressively, and that's exactly what happened here. The New England Patriots saw value in Draymond Jones and didn't hesitate to secure him with a 3-year contract worth $39 million. From Jones' perspective, it's hard to argue with that kind of deal. $13 million per year is a strong commitment from a franchise, and it shows that New England believes he can play a meaningful role in their defensive plans going forward. Now the big conversation shifts back to Baltimore. Because when a role player like this leaves, fans often focus only on the loss itself. But inside the building, the Ravens front office is already thinking 2 or 3 moves ahead. Free agency is never just about one player. It's about roster balance, cap flexibility, and making sure the team stays competitive over the long run. And remember something important, this is just the first move we're seeing connected to the Ravens since free agency officially started. The first day of free agency is always chaotic around the league. Deals happen rapidly, players change teams within hours, and front offices work nonstop to secure the right pieces. That means Baltimore fans should be prepared for more news, possibly very soon. Some players may find new homes elsewhere, just like Jones did. Others could end up staying in Baltimore if the front office decides they're part of the long-term plan. And of course, there's always the possibility that the Ravens make a move that nobody saw coming, bringing in a new player who immediately changes the conversation about this roster. One thing Ravens fans know very well is that this organization has never been afraid to build through smart, strategic decisions rather than flashy headlines. The team's identity has always been built around strong defense, disciplined football, and players who simply come in and do their jobs, the exact type of mentality we just described with Draymond Jones. So while some fans may feel disappointed seeing him leave, this move could simply be one small step in a much larger offseason strategy. And the truth is, the next few days could tell us a lot about what the Ravens front office is planning. Are they preparing to bring in another defensive lineman to strengthen the rotation? Are they confident that someone already on the roster can step up and replace the production Jones provided? Or are they planning a bigger move that could reshape the defensive front entirely? Free agency has only just begun, and if history has taught Ravens fans anything, it's that things can change very quickly in Baltimore. And there's another detail in this situation that Ravens fans shouldn't ignore. When a player like Draymond Jones leaves after a short period but still manages to earn a strong contract somewhere else, it tells you something about the value he showed on the field. Even in limited time, he demonstrated enough consistency and reliability to convince another franchise to invest heavily in him. That says a lot about the type of professional he is and the way he approaches the game. Throughout his time connected to the Ravens, Jones built a reputation as someone who simply handled business. He didn't need attention, he didn't need headlines, and he didn't need to be the center of every conversation. Instead, he focused on producing, executing his assignments, and helping the defense function the way it was supposed to. Players like that often become extremely valuable inside locker rooms because coaches know exactly what they are going to get every week. And sometimes those are the exact players who end up getting paid once free agency begins. Another thing that stands out in this situation is timing. Free agency always moves quickly, especially during the first wave of signings. Teams that identify a target move fast, because if they hesitate even for a few hours, another organization can step in and finalize a deal. That appears to be exactly what happened with New England when they decided to bring Jones into their defensive plans. For Baltimore, this departure may also open the door for internal competition. One of the things the Ravens organization has done well over the years is developing players within their system. When a veteran leaves, it sometimes creates an opportunity for another player to step forward and prove they deserve a bigger role on the field. And that's something worth watching closely as the offseason continues. Because while fans often focus on who leaves, the real story of an offseason is usually about who steps up next. Every roster change creates a ripple effect inside the team. Coaches adjust rotations, younger players receive more opportunities, and sometimes a completely new defensive identity begins to form. With free agency just starting and more moves likely coming, the Ravens are entering one of the most important stretches of the offseason. Decisions made in the coming days could determine how strong this roster looks when the next season begins. And Ravens fans know very well that every move matters when the goal is returning stronger and fighting for a championship.